Good morning and welcome to day 9 of Rooted and Rising, the 21-day devotional for entrepreneurs in transition. My name is Noah Love and I'm happy to have you back. To the dreamer in transition, welcome to Rooted and Rising. If you're here, you're likely in a season of pivot, personally, professionally, or spiritually. I created this devotional for people like us, dreamers, doers, believers, and builders who are also healing, evolving, and learning how to hear God more clearly in this in-between. Every scripture here carried me through a shift, through grief, heartbreak, reinvention, and growth. My prayer is that these words bring clarity, alignment, and peace to your journey. So take your time, be gentle with yourself, and let this be a sacred pause in your pursuit. My friend, can I tell you I've recorded this podcast at least 3 times between yesterday and today, and while episode 9, day 9 should have been up yesterday, we are still going to stick with it and we're going to make it do what it do. We're going to push out episode day 9 today as well as day 10 later this afternoon. Today's topic, or rather today's title, is Beauty from Ashes. And we'll be reading Isaiah 61:3, one of my favorites. And as my grandfather taught me, we will read verses before and after. So that'll be verse 2 through verse 4. Again, I am reading from the NIV version. It is my favorite. It simplifies the text while also educating me and allowing me the space to grow in it. So today's scripture, again, Isaiah 61, verse 3. That's chapter 61, verse 3. And it reads, "To grant those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified." Now reading verses 2 through 4, and it reads, verse 2, "To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn." Verse 3, "To grant to those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, and that he may be glorified. They shall build up the ancient ruins. They shall raise up the former devastations. They shall repair the ruined cities, the devastation of many generations." I think many of us know verse 3 already. I think in a multitude of different versions of the Bible, it plainly states that he will give us beauty for ashes. He will restore what we have lost. But when I came across this verse and reading this chapter specifically in Isaiah, I had gone through a series of different relationships, and I was still coming through the woes of battling the aftermath of both comas, and just trying to figure out who I was. And in my wanting to figure out who I was and what was happening, what was going to be the next thing, I somehow latched on to everything that I had lost. At one point, the mobility of my body, having been paralyzed from the neck down, um, 2 comas back to back, essentially equated to about a year of lost business, of me not being functional, financial ruin, I guess you can say. And I came upon Isaiah just in reading. I think my brothers, my dad, friends had constantly reminded me that God would give me back everything that I had essentially lost, or that I felt like I had lost. And reading Isaiah, our reflection today is essentially what my takeaway was. Your pain has purpose. Your story is power. I review it that way. I accept it. I accept that as truth, um, because I choose to believe that everything that I've experienced in my life is destined by God and or used by God, thus purposing it for the rest of my life, giving it purpose to build me, to love me, to comfort me, to build for other people, to comfort other people, to love other people. The pain that I've experienced, the loss that I've experienced, I consider it part of what God is doing in my life. And so being transparent, I would force myself to believe this too has purpose. This too has a reason. And sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes it just doesn't have a rhyme or reason as to why it happened. But even in it not having a reason, even in not feeling like it has a purpose, it indeed has a purpose. It does something to the world around you. It does something to the people around you, watching you experience it, watching you having to maneuver it and make sense of it all, if you will. Going through my comas, I think people around me, I realized I wasn't capable at that moment of receiving love in its purest form. But in turn, I think family and friends and colleagues and people around me realized, one, what they themselves weren't capable of giving me, or meeting the need that I needed as a person. But also, I think it just made them realize how short life is, or how fickle life can be, or how instantly life can change. And it woke something up in them, and it waking something up in them meant that they needed to walk away from me. And again, while things feel unfair and all of these things, I am a believer that God makes no mistakes. And so my pain has always been purposed. My story has always been my power. If you've ever met me, either in person, online, somewhere else, I'm quick to share my story because I consider my story my greatest power. Um, in Isaiah, when we talk about God restoring things and rebuilding, I think this example in Isaiah and this understanding that God is the thing that we feel that is at our absolute saddest, our absolute brokenness, all of those things, God is constantly reminding us, while this right now, it's sad, it's hurtful, it's painful, it's a loss, I will ensure give you double for it. I will restore to you what has been taken, or what I've taken, what I've removed, what I've asked you to walk away from. Mourning does not have to be the end point. It does not need to have a period on the end of it. Especially if you know God, especially if you are in relationship with God. Whatever the thing is doesn't have a period. I'm sad and I'm hurting, but I feel alone then. I feel alone and then God sent the helpmate. I feel alone and then God sent the stranger. I feel alone and then the call came. I'm in pain, but I found healing. I'm sad, but joy cometh in the morning. Like small things. It's knowing that this isn't the end. Um, so as your reflection for the day, your pain has purpose. Your story is your power. And it is indeed necessary that you lock into that. Uh, and then your prompt for today, excuse me, that's because I have a meeting in 10 minutes. But your prompt for today, where have you seen God turn pain into beauty? This is an opportunity for you to shift perspective. And while things are happening in the world and we are experiencing so much hate and loss and all of these things, this is an opportunity for you to search for the goodness of God in your life. You had a car accident. What was the outcome of that? Where are you right now? What does that open you up to? A friend walked away. A relationship walked away. We've experienced loss in some form. We don't have enough money in our accounts. We've lost the job. The loan didn't come through. The creditor took away the credit limit. Whatever the thing is, there is always good. If we choose to see things as purposed and has meaning, if we choose to believe that everything is adding to us, that is the blessing. If we're able to find the good in all things, we are capable and powerful to move forward. That is how we restore power to our story. If you've only latched on to the fact that this thing happened to you, if that's all that you have, then you will never move past this idea of you being a victim. But if you take back the power, if you restore the power to the story, this thing happened and I got stronger. This thing happened and I got smarter. This thing happened and I started asking questions. This thing happened and it brought me and my brothers back together. This thing happened and I was able to understand my child better. Everything is serving purpose. And so with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining in, and apologies for this being a late episode. But I'm so very grateful that it happened. I do believe that everything happens for a reason and everything is released when it's supposed to. There was a divine timing of everything. And so where this lands, this lands. If it meets you today, it's because it needed to meet you today. Friend, I love you very much. Have a beautiful day. Usually I would say I'll see you tomorrow, but in this case, I'm going to see you in a couple hours when I release episode Date's Head. Till then, love you.